when they're doing their calculations, are using 2019 for their baseline determined. And in Locke Street's case, 2019 was very much an anomaly. So all this motion is asking for is some flexibility to use perhaps 2018 or an average thereof. I'm sorry I wasn't clear on my explanation.
No. That's clear. No, I get it. Sorry, I misunderstood the intent here. So they're not wanting to use 2019 as a baseline number for their business because it's not representative of
That's right.
The business they would normally do. Totally understand that. Fully support that. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify that.
Thank you. Councillor Ferguson, please.
Yeah, the mayor's question made it a little easier for me to understand this. I worry it's a slippery slope to start down when we start compensating merchants while the road in front of their business is under construction. I know when Wilson Street was done from 403 all the way through to Russo over about a 4 or 5 year period, I kept telling the merchants, you got to suck it up because you're going to be the benefactor of this reconstruction at the end. And they did. And I know Concession Street went through the same issue where the merchants were complaining bitterly that they lost business because of the construction, but now they love the finished product and we haven't heard any more from them. I just worry this is setting a precedent where we're going to start compensating merchants for construction because we'll never be able to continue with our capital program repairing our road if we start doing that. So I'm uneasy about this and the precedent it sets. I understand the concept that 2019 they didn't have the revenues that they would have had because of the construction, and are looking for the relief from the federal government for 2020 based on the benchmarking of 2019. But I'm just worried about the slippery slope. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions or comments? I see none. So we'll now have the... Oh, sorry, Councillor Partridge. I missed you. How could I miss you, Councillor Partridge?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I understand the concept of the motion, and I just want to ask the question, though, what about all the other businesses in town? I mean, we've had lots of projects that have, or some projects, I shouldn't say lots, but we've had other projects, and perhaps that's the question to staff. I'm not sure if anybody's here from Public Works or... but, you know, have we had other areas? I'd like to hear from staff if I could. You know, if we have had other businesses that have been impacted, and I realize we're not giving the money. We're asking that the mayor send the letter to the federal government to for the Locke Street businesses to you know, look at their 2018 as opposed to 2019. So I get that. We're not giving them money out of the city of Hamilton. And if I'm wrong about that, please let me know. But I'm just wondering how many other projects. I'm uneasy about this only because I know there's businesses in my area that did suffer. I mean, they've suffered right across the city. So how do we capture all the businesses that have been impacted? And Councillor Nan, I see you shaking your head, but you know what? It's a legitimate question that I need to ask for my residents because I know my businesses are going to be concerned about it.
But to be fair to Councillor Nan, we don't know why she was shaking her head. So
I absolutely was not shaking my head at anything that's being said. I was shaking my head at a text that my daughter just sent me. Thank you.
Yeah, my apologies then. My apologies. It is getting very late.
So, Mr. Thorne, do you have anything to offer here?
Yeah, so the program, the federal program, is available to all businesses in the city. So the issue on Locke Street, and I've heard the issue as well from some of the merchants on Locke Street, is that in every other area of the city, it may make perfect sense to use 2019 as a base reference year for determining how much revenues were lost in 2020. Locke Street's the only area I can think of where 2019 was such an anomaly year because of a very sustained infrastructure disruption. I have not heard that in any other parts of the city where there is a concern that 2019 is somehow not the appropriate base year.
Right.
I've only heard that coming out of Locke. So it is a program, just to be clear, that is available to every business. It's just a question of what the federal government is deeming to be the base year for determining a loss of income. And so, as I said, I'm not aware of, I haven't heard from any other areas of the city that have expressed a concern that 2019 as the reference year is problematic. I certainly have heard that from businesses involved, that it quite obviously was a very significant disruptive year for them.
Yeah, and thank you, Jason. I'm not, it would be the counselors that have probably heard it more than anything. And I know Lock Street was certainly suffered because we made every effort to go down there and order dinners and you know, do takeout. We love Lock Street and a lot of the restaurants and businesses there. So okay, my questions have basically been answered, but I'm very, very cautious that are we prepared to do something to, I'm cautious about the message it's sending to the rest of the business community. Our small businesses have suffered so badly throughout, you know, certainly this year of 2020, but many of them for 2019 as well. So those are my questions and my comments. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate it.
Nope, thank you very much. And Councillor Vanderbeek, if you can take the chair just for a second, please.
Certainly, sir.
And so I just have comments. So the way I'm reading this is it's asking the federal government to have some discretion when it is dealing with the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy and the Canada Emergency Rent Wage Subsidy, specifically for businesses that experienced an anomaly in the 2019, which was the benchmark year that the federal government has set. And so for all of the businesses out there who truly are suffering, and absolutely Councillor Partridge is bang on, we've got many, many businesses that are suffering. The vast majority of them could not argue that they had a base year that was off because of a sustained construction project in Hamilton. This one particular street could make that argument. And if the federal government chooses to provide that discretion, then that discretion could be argued by any business to the federal government in terms of what their base year would be if they could prove that they really had an anomaly in the base year that was set by legislation. So I support this. There's no impact to us. It's not opening up a Pandora's box for us. I'm not sure the federal government is going to modify their program, but we should be advocating for businesses that experienced an anomaly, and now they're being judged, and their their subsidies are going to be dramatically reduced because the revenue is dramatically reduced. And I think that's the crux of it. So I'm fine with this and I'll support this. Thank you. I'll take the chair back.
Thank you.
Councillor Pauls, please.
Thank you. And I don't know if I'm asking the right questions or not, so you guys can help me here. I had a meeting with the Hamilton's Farmers Market. Could that be that we could write a letter on behalf of them to the federal government if they could get a rent subsidy as well?
They can apply for a rent subsidy now, but they didn't experience an anomaly because of construction outside of the farmers market.
It has to be, yeah, but they were closed too because of COVID. I'm just saying, could the mayor or send a letter on behalf of them? I'm just asking the question, just because I just had a meeting with them and it was, you know, it was a hard meeting.
I'm not familiar with the application process to the federal government, whether or not letters of support have to be attached to it from municipalities or provinces. My understanding is it's based on the impact directly from COVID, and there's set criteria. In this case, it was the base year of funding that they're comparing it to. So what your base year of financial returns were in comparison to what happened with COVID.
Yeah, because, you know, there's 50 business there that some of them have closed and they're suffering as well. So I thought if I have an answer to that, but thank you anyways. Thanks.
Thank you. I hope that helped. Okay, seeing no further speakers, Tamara, we can put the vote to the committee now. The vote is up. And once again, if you have any issues submitting, please just give me the high sign. The vote vote's closed and it carried 14-0. Thank you very much. Notices of motions. Are there any notices of motions? I'm not trolling for any, but if there are any prepared, please let me know. Seeing none, we will move on to general issue and other business. Are there any items of general information or other business? Again, I'm not trolling for it. Excellent. We'll move on now to the closed session items. So may I please have a mover and a seconder to approve the November 18th, 2020 closed session minutes as presented? And that would be moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Councillor Pearson. And that is on the closed session minutes, please. We can have that vote. Councillor Pearson seconded it. Councillor Johnson moved it. And the vote is coming. The vote is up. And the vote's closed and it carried 14-0. So now in camera, may I please have a motion to move into closed session respecting items 13.2 to 13.9 with the exception of 13.8, which we have dealt with. Sorry, Councillor Partridge?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I don't know if this is the appropriate time or even appropriate process, but I'm prepared to move 13, 2, 3, and 4 if there are no questions, and Councillor Johnson is going to second it for me. If we could do that before we go in closed session, or we can wait till go in closed session. I just thought I'd offer to hurry things up a bit.
Well, I think we have to go into closed session regardless, so we usually deal with them when we come out. Madam Clerk,
That's
I'm
fine.
looking for his assistance. No, I'm not ruling, Councillor Partridge. I'm just asking for help.
No, I'm just asking because we have done that before where we have moved things from in camera because we didn't need to go in camera, but I'll follow the process of the clerk. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if committee does not need to move in for 13.3, or sorry, 13.2, 13.3, or 13.4, you can approve those in open session. Give me one quick second, Councillor. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure there's nothing that needs to be approved in closed for any of those.
Okay, thank you.
13.2, you can move in. No, you need to move 13.2 in closed. There's some
Okay.
closed session direction. 13.3, you need to do the same thing. 13.4 is the only one that you could move and open.
Okay. There may be questions, so we'll go in
But
camera, and I'll
thank
move
you.
that.
I thank you for helping me try to expedite.
I'm
So-
trying.
We're going to go in camera. It's going to be moved by Councillor Partridge, seconded by Councillor Johnson, pursuant to subsection 8.1, subsection C, E, and K of the city's procedural bylaw 18270 as amended, and section 239.2, subsection C, E, and K of the Ontario Municipal Act 2001 as amended, as the subject matter pertains to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried out on or behalf of the municipality or local board. And that would be everything for the vote. So we need to have that vote to go in camera now. Votes up. Members of the public, the meeting will continue following the closed session portion of the meeting. When you see the members of the council rejoin the meeting, council will wait up to 5 minutes upon reconvening to open session before proceeding with the meeting to provide members of the public and the media time to return. A reminder to all members of the committee to please ensure that you move into a closed session portion of eScribe. Before we move into closed session, I would ask all members of the public to please exit the WebEx meeting now. Thank you. As well as any staff that are not directly related to these items are also asked to please exit the WebEx meeting. Once the clerks have confirmed that only the appropriate attendees are still in the WebEx meeting, we will move on to 13.2. And the vote, Councillor Ferguson, can we get your vote, please? Councillor Nan is thumbs up.
I'd already skipped ahead to the in-camera part, so I support it.
Oh, he gave me a thumbs up. Thank you, Councillor. And that's carried 14-0. And are we live? Bear with me, folks. We're good? We're good. We're live. Thank you very much. So we're back in open session. Am I being heard? Yes, I am. Item 13.2, authority to expropriate for the acquisition of part of 339 Mountain Brow Road, PED 20206, Ward 15. I have Councillor Partridge moving and Councillor Johnson seconding the following, and that the direction provided to staff in closed session respecting report PED 2026 regarding the authority to expropriate for the acquisition of part of 339 Mountain Brow Road be approved, and that B, that the entirety of the report PED 20206 respecting the authority to expropriate for the acquisition of part of 339 Mountain Brow Road remain confidential, save and except for any portions that need to be disclosed for the purposes of completing this expropriation at the discretion of the city solicitor until completion of the real estate transaction. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, now we'll have the vote, please, Madam Clerk. Thank you. It's not submitting. So I'm giving a thumbs up, but it's not submitting for some reason. Anyone else having difficulty getting their vote to submit? Councillor Farr's thumbs up. And Mayor Eisenberger, thank you. I'm looking for him right now, sorry. I don't see him. I didn't see him either. Yep. Okay, so the vote is now closed and it carries 12-1. Thank you. 13.3 is the next item on the agenda. Acquisition of part of 344 Mountain Brow Road, PED 20207, Ward 15. Councillor Partridge moved it. Councillor Johnson seconded it. That the direction provided to staff in closed session respecting report PED 2027, acquisition of part of 344 Mountain Brow Road, Hamilton, be approved, and that the complete report PED 20207 respecting the acquisition and part of 344 Mountain Brow Road remain confidential until the completion of the real estate transaction. And I'm seeing no speakers, so the vote can be put. Thank you. Trying again, and oh, it worked that time for me. You got him? And that's carried 12-1. Thank you. Item 13.4, acquisition of part of 351 Mountain Brow, 20208, Ward 15. Councillor Partridge has moved it. Councillor Johnson has seconded that an option to purchase scheduled to close on February 25, 2021 for the partial acquisition of land municipally known as 351 Mountain Brow Road, Hamilton, as shown in Appendix A attached to report PED 20208, based substantially on the terms and conditions attached as Appendix B to the report to PED 20208, and such other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the General Manager of Planning and Economic Development be approved. B, that all costs related to the acquisition of part of 351 Mountain Brow, Hamilton be charged to project ID account number 4031280288 as outlined in Appendix B and attached to report PED 20208. And C, that the sum of $37,050 be funded from the project ID account number 4031280288 and be credited to Department ID number 8102036, real estate admin recovery for recovery of expenses, including real estate and legal fees and costs. And D, that the city solicitor be authorized to complete the acquisition of part of 351 Mountain Brow Road, Hamilton transaction on behalf of the city, including paying any necessary expenses, amending the closing, due diligence, and other dates, and amending and waiving terms and conditions on such terms as she considers reasonable. And E, that the mayor and the clerk be authorized and directed to execute the necessary documents in a form satisfactory to the city solicitor. And F, that the report PED 20208 respecting the acquisition of part of 351 Mountain Brow Road, Hamilton, remain confidential until completion of the real estate transaction. Seeing no speakers, we can have the vote, please, Madam Clerk. And it's loading. And mine worked. Excellent. Councillor Pauls, did you get your vote to submit? Oh, she has web access issues. And you're back. Councillor Pauls, did you get your vote to go through? You gotta do thumbs up. Thumbs up is what Councillor Pauls has indicated. The vote is now closed and it's carried 12-1. So we're now on to 13.5, and forgive me, councillors, I forget the mover. I thought it was Councillor Farr. On 13.5, acquisition of 154, 156 Cannon Street East, PED 20209, Ward 2.
That's correct. Yeah.
And who was the seconder, councillor, do you recall?
Chad Collins.
Chad Collins, thank you, sir. That A, option to purchase scheduled to close on April 21st, 2021 for the acquisition of land described as 154 to 156 Cannon Street East, Hamilton, as shown in Appendix A attached to report PED 20209, based substantially on the terms and conditions attached as Appendix B to report number PED 20209, and such other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the General Manager of the Planning Economic Development Department be approved. B, that all costs related to the acquisition of 154 to 156 Cannon Street East be charged to reserve 104090 parkland dedication as outlined in Appendix B. C, that the sum of $113,075 be funded from the reserve 104090 parkland dedication and be credited to Department ID number 812036 Real Estate Admin Recovery for recovery of expenses, including real estate and legal administration fees and costs associated with the acquisition and leasing of 154-156 Cannon Street East. That D, that a lease to the current operating company, CarStar, scheduled to commence on April 21st, 2021 for a portion of the property, buildings, and a portion of the parking area as shown in Appendix A, attached to report PED 20209 based on substantially on the terms and conditions attached as Appendix C to the report PED 20209 and such other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the General Manager of Planning and Economic Development Department be approved. That E, that a lease to the current subtenant, City Max Motors, scheduled to commence on April 21st, 2021 for a portion of the property remaining of the parking lot as shown in Appendix A attached to report number PED 20209. Based substantially on the terms and conditions attached as Appendix D to report PED 20209 and such other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the General Manager of Planning and Economic Development Department be approved. F, that all net proceeds related to the leases outlined in Appendixes C and D attached to report number PED 20209 be credited to reserve 104090 parkland dedication. That G, the General Manager, Planning and Economic Development Department, or designate acting on behalf of the city as lessor, be authorized to provide any consents, approvals, and notices related to the subject lease agreement herein outlined. And H, that the city solicitor be authorized to complete the acquisition lease transactions related to 154, 156 Cannon Street East on behalf of the city, including completing and or amending the leases, paying any necessary expenses, amending the closing, due diligence and other dates, and amending and waiving terms and conditions on such terms as she considers reasonable. And I, that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to direct to execute the necessary documents required to complete the acquisition lease transactions related to 154, 156 Cannon Street East Hamilton as shown in Appendix A, attached to report PED 20209 in a form satisfactory to the city solicitor, and that report PED 20209 respecting the acquisition of 154, 156 Cannon Street East remains confidential and not be released as a public document until final completion of the real estate transaction. Seeing no speakers, Madam Clerk, we can have the vote. The vote is up. I didn't pass out yet. Councillor Pauls, did you want to vote with a thumbs up then if your internet's not helping you? Yep, thumbs up from Councillor Pauls. Anyone else having issues? Seeing none, the vote carried 13-0. We are now moving on to item 13.6. I need a mover and a seconder. This is dealing with the Downtown Entertainment Precinct status update. Councillor Farr and Councillor Pauls, thank you. 13.6, A, that the direction provided to staff in closed session respecting report PED 18168F, Downtown Entertainment Precinct status update be approved, and that report PED 18168 respecting the Downtown Entertainment Precinct status update remain confidential. Seeing no speakers, the vote can be had. Councillor Pauls, no, she's having issues again. I lost her video at this time. Councillor Pauls, are you giving me a thumbs up? She's frozen, or she's completely baffled by what I'm doing. And Councillor Danko, no, I'm not reading it again. Yep. She gave me a thumbs up just now. She just gave me a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. We understand your challenges there. So now moving on to item 13.7, which is the motion, proposed assignment and amendment to an operating agreement in Ward 2 that's moved by Councillor Farr, seconded by, and I'm looking for Councillor Collins. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. It's late in the night and I'm losing my mind. And some would say it's already lost. Okay, 13.7A, that the direction provided to staff in closed session respecting the proposed assignment and amendment to the operating agreement in Ward 2 be approved, and B, that the motion respecting the proposed assignment and amendment to the operating agreement in Ward 2 remain confidential until completion of the real estate transaction. And the vote is up for you, councillors. Councillor Pauls, do you want to give me a hand signal up or down? She's voting yes. And the vote is now closed. And it's carried 11-2. And now we're on to item number 13.9, City of Hamilton Transfer Stations and Community Recycling Center update. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Jackson and seconded by Councillor Ferguson. And thank you. That report PW20068C/LS20039B respecting the City of Hamilton transfer stations and community recycling center update remain confidential. And the vote is up. Councillor Paul, you thumbs up. Councillor Pearson, you okay? You good? Thank you. Councillor Forrest, a rather comical thumbs up, and that could have been worse. Okay, 9:10, we don't have to deal with clerk. And so now I need a motion to adjourn. Surely someone would like to offer that. Councillor Nan and Councillor Pearson. And it's an electronic vote. Please hang in there, folks. We need to vote. Thumbs up from Councillor Pauls, thumbs up from Councillor Farr on adjournment. I think everyone's in favor. I don't see anyone saying no. And they're leaving before they even know. They don't really care anymore.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. You did an excellent job today. Really appreciate it. And
I
thank
couldn't
you,
have done it without you
Stephanie.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie, everyone at the
everybody.
clerk's table.